Welcome back to another episode of the Dynastyers Podcast.
Let's
I
get
am your boy, your host, your main man, your player partner, Darius Capers, but you know me as Kung Fu Cape, and I'm back here with my brother Henry. Going to introduce yourself to the people, man.
what's happening. What's happening? What's happening? We so glad to be here, man. It's been a long time coming. It's your boy. It's your favorite Q, your homie, Big Unk. It's your boy, Big Hennessy in the building, Henry Capers. I'm so glad to be kicking it with Lil Bub today. We back at it. Dynastyers Podcast. We back recording. Man, it feels good to be back in front of the screen, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. We took a cool grip off. We took a cool grip off.
Yeah, actually, what, a year, 2 years
Yeah,
from consistent recording.
yeah, bro.
Your boy's still been trying to hold it down, putting up content, doing what he can, but it's nothing like getting on these episodes of long form of content, just
Yeah.
talking about sports, basketball, football, baseball, soccer, tennis, track and field,
Yeah.
all those things under the sun.
Nah, bro, it's so crazy, right? Because I got to tip my hat off to you before we get started. Because, bro, you really kept the ship afloat. It got to a place where the Dynastyers podcast had like 4 or 5 hosts, and we were in full rotation and we were doing things every week, bro. If it wasn't for you, the podcast would have fell off completely. No question about it, bro. So I tip my hat off to you. I show you mad love because you really kept us afloat. And what I'm doing now is I'm trying to pull it up because I gotta celebrate you. And like it's important that we shout you out the way that we ultimately need to, right? Because I'm trying to, here we go. Let's see. Thanks to you, we are in the way of subs, right? That's why I want to shout out because we gotta shout you out. I don't know why my iPad. Here we go. Because of you, in the way of subs, we have. Let me see. It's not popping up. How many subs do we got, bro? I want to shout you out. How many subs do we have?
So I'll help him out, everybody. Currently on the YouTube channel, we are up to 522 subs.
Oh man.
We have posted 801 videos.
Oh man.
We have a grand total of 382,000 views.
Come on.
We have over 8,000 likes and
Come on.
over 500 comments.
Come on, man.
And
And you did a lot of that by yourself, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you. If anybody goes to the YouTube page, they're gonna see your face. They're gonna see you talking about content. They're gonna see you celebrating sports, music, pop culture. And so, dog, I have to tip my hat off to you, bro. This ain't been nothing but a grind. You've been hustling. Where'd you go, bro? You've been hustling. You've been busting your tail, bro. I gotta show you love. I gotta celebrate you, man, because the brand wouldn't be here without you, bro. So I gotta give you that love, dog.
bro, I appreciate that, bro.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's easy, bro. It's easy when you love what you're doing. I mean, I
Okay.
like I always say, I remember when we had 22 subs, and now just seeing it
Yeah,
at
yeah, no
522,
five, yeah,
and you look, bro, 800 views. I mean, 800 videos. It's
yeah,
not it's not that many when you think people have been putting out
yeah,
thousands of videos
yeah,
and they're at where they're at. So I mean, we still have a ceiling we can get to, but I feel like the floor we're at now is pretty good. So all it
sure.
is building from here. Keep
Yeah,
going from
man.
here. Let's get the floor.
Hey, man, I tell you what, if anybody who's listening to our content, anybody who's watching it, like we're gonna make a couple of pictures throughout the rest of the day. But I think what's gonna be really, really important is if folks can follow us on our Instagram page, our TikTok, our YouTube page. I'm back. I'll be honest with you, dude, because I mean, before we just like even jump into content, I think we just need to take a second to give the people like a who's and what's of like where we've been. Because to be honest with you, like our team, the Dynastyers podcast team is all over the place. Like
Bro.
some of our fan favorite hosts, Alex is working on his MBA. He's killing it right now. You know what I'm saying? Another fan favorite host, Kurt. Kurt has grown and gone off to do some crazy things. He's out there in the world killing it right now. New job, new location. You know what I'm saying? Reese. Oh man, people love Reese, bro. People love Reese and the
Yeah.
content he was bringing. Reese is now in the armed services doing some amazing, amazing things, fighting for our country. And so we just want to let the viewers know, the people who are watching our content, who've seen some of our old stuff in the past, we want to let y'all know we didn't just turn our backs on y'all. I mean, last year I was working a job where in 150 days I had to hire over 500 staff people, and we were doing some amazing work across the state of North Carolina. And we were like wheels up, flying fast. And so last year was it was a hard year for everybody. And so we can't underscore enough that it's Darius, it's your leadership, bro. It's you taking this team, you taking this brand, you taking this idea and really like putting it on your back and carrying it to Dreamville Fest and carrying it to the Washington Nationals game and going to the Hurricanes playoff game, right? It's you carrying the brand that really keeps us here, bro. So we got to celebrate where everybody else on the staff is at, like where our team is. We got to celebrate you for being like the hometown hero. Like you got married during the podcast.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, it's the Dynastyers family added another person to it, man. Wifey, she's was girlfriend during this, then fiance during this. Now she's wifey, man. Yeah, she's gonna be on episode to come. You know, she's gonna pop in during a couple of the streams we might do.
Yeah,
like Henry said, we're back, so we back at this thing, man. We're gonna try to stream every Sunday during football games. We're gonna give y'all a lot during this football season because, man, it's I don't feel like people are covering the NFL as well as we do. I don't think so. I feel like it's a gap. I feel like it's a gap.
That's so funny you say that because we didn't do much last season, but the season before we were really right about a lot of things. If we're talking about the Christian McCaffrey trade, I hit the nail on the head on the Christian McCaffrey trade 4 weeks before that ever even hit rumor mill, right? And then it landed that he was going to the 49ers. We're talking about when we did our Madden mock draft, where we allowed all the hosts to pick teams and make selections. If I'm not mistaken, we can go back and look at the footage. Reese had in his first round, he had 4 first round. He was representing 4 teams and got all 4 teams' first round picks correct, right? Dead on the head, drafted those guys. So we cover the sports as fans, but we also really take the time to do our homework and really take the time to like lean in to the brand and the idea, not just of football, but of sports, right? NFL is like our main topic today, but even the content you were putting out with the basketball season and the analysis that you were doing, the breakdown of the Boston Celtics and other teams, like, bro, we do a really good job of not missing. I'm calling it now. And I've been telling you this for like 6 months. I'm calling it now. You and I are going to take this brand over the next year and a half, bro. We're going to be with Barstool. Barstool's going to pick us up, bro. Like,
bro, you seen Barstool has their own TV show now on FS1, bro. I seen that, man. You know I'm a big FS1 guy, bro. I'm a Colin Cowherd guy, bro. I be watching him during the day. Barstool comes on right before his TV show, bro. Middle of the day, they're competing in a sense in that time slot with First Take, if I'm not mistaken. I think they're 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on FS1. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Barstool's TV show took the window that LaShawn McCoy's old show used to have. It was him. It was Joy Taylor. What was it? I can't think of the name of it. But yeah, man, Barstool has their own TV show now, bro, and it's dope. It's really dope. They've come a long way.
That's what's up. No, that's cool. I expect the brand to keep getting bigger. Right, like this isn't like a shameless plug or just trying to like. We want to get picked up. We want to be seen because we do good work. You know what I'm saying? We ain't trying to clout chase. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot going on in the world. I mean, they got Young Thug out here snitching. Like I don't know what's going on, bro. Like this world is tripping right now, bro. They said all kind of stuff happened over the weekend with the president. It's just it's craziness right now, bro. So we're trying to carve out our own little corner of the world. We're just trying to keep our heads down. And we're really just trying to maintain and you know do what we do best, man, and that's talk sports. So we glad to be back, man. We really glad to be back, though.
Let's get into it. I'm ready.
Let's get into it. So, man, Go ahead, jump into it.
I was gonna say, man, the NFL is back with us tomorrow.
Yeah,
I don't want to,
yeah,
put a date on this episode, but I'm sure this will be going out on Thursday. So later today, but
yeah.
we're recording this on Wednesday. So Thursday, September 4th, the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys are kicking off the NFL season, an NFL season that has been gone for too long.
Yeah.
And man, I just first, I guess, giving you the floor
Talk to me.
to just kind of give your recap of how you felt the last season went, how
Yeah,
you felt about your team,
yeah,
and I guess that's a good place to just start right there.
yeah.
Last season.
That's a phenomenal place to start, right? Because anybody who knows me knows I'm a diehard Kansas City Chiefs guy. Been a fan for a really long time. I don't want people to think I was a bandwagon guy. I was born in Kansas. I know Kansas City is in Missouri, but I was born in Kansas. I've been around the world pretty much as a military brat, and I just decided to keep this team as a piece of that legacy, right? And so I will share with y'all that I was really glad to see how the Kansas City Chiefs prevailed through so much adversity last season. I did not expect for the season to turn out the way it did. I really thought we had a good chance of beating Philadelphia. Philadelphia just came to the table as they look similar to this year. They came to the table with really the best roster in football. Like their roster is so well built. They take Howie Roseman does such a phenomenal job of building that team in such a way that there are no weaknesses. And then whatever weakness may arise a season from now, there's a guy ready to step up next. And so, I mean, you saw what he did in his DB room. He got rid of guys that were like, oh man, you don't big play Slay. You don't get rid of big play Slay. No, you got two other guys for coming in. Like you got a white boy who's playing safety up top and he's making it look easy. Like he's like probably one of the best secondary players in football, if we want to be for real. So
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you 1,000%, man. Cooper DeJean, Quinion Mitchell were two guys that a lot of people had going earlier in last year's draft.
correct,
Philly was able to snag them both
correct.
reasonably, in terms of their draft
Yeah,
position. I mean, Cooper DeJean had injuries, but man, he's looking like those are long gone. Quinion
sure.
Mitchell played at a small school, so people were scared, but Philly took a swing and yeah, he's looking like they got their two guys for the next decade.
Right. At least, right? And I mean,
Yeah.
and so when you ask me how I feel about last year, I feel like there are a lot of things we did really well. There are areas that we could have gotten better, but it's football. Like the tide shifts. And so I'm really excited to talk about the AFC and talk about my team specifically when we jump into the outlook of where we think these teams will be throughout the rest of the call. But I mean, it happens. We did really well. We did really well as a team. We've been really good as a dynasty. And so I'll kick it to you, right? Because I know your dynasty is on the other end of the spectrum, essentially, when we talk about success, right? When we talk about what the dynasty has done over the last decade. And so I want to hear from you, like, how did you feel about last year? Some of the decisions, quarterback transitions, quarterback signings. What are some of the things that really stuck with you?
Right. So with you tackling the AFC, I guess this is a good little 2 minute window section for me to talk about my Jets. I, for one, had a lot of excitement at the beginning of this offseason. I was disappointed in how the Aaron Rodgers tenure went with the Jets, man, from the high highs of, oh, we were a 7-10 team with Zach Wilson and being a quarterback away, having a top five defense, to Aaron Rodgers playing 4 snaps and tearing his Achilles, and we
Yeah,
being back at the same place that we were the previous season, to coming into that next season. Honestly, the rest of that season, Aaron playing with Jet fans, saying he's going to come back from an Achilles injury in 3 to 4 months with no surgery, to
Yeah.
the next season and him coming back from the Achilles injury and looking like a shell of himself, not moving, offensive line being bad, hitting injuries, being worse than we were with Zach Wilson to now.
Yeah.
Us, like you said, major overhaul, Salah gone, Hackett gone, bringing in Aaron Glenn and bringing in Justin Fields and the numerous draft picks we made. I had a lot of hope at the beginning of the offseason, but seeing the preseason and now with Aaliyah Vera Tucker being injured yet again,
Yeah. That's why
another season ender,
it's a
I'm
season.
just they're speculating that he tore his pec.
Ooh.
So torn pec is a 6 to 8 month injury at earliest.
Yeah, you're good.
And I don't think Aaliyah Tucker is Cody Rhodes and gonna play through it.
Yeah, no, you're
So
good. You're good.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, bro, it's not looking good. We did draft the kid from Penn State for Shanu. We drafted another O lineman this offseason. It's just it's going to be a transition year, bro. I could very well see my Jets being competitive, 9-8, 8-9, a competitive 7-10 football team, which is kind of what we were with Zach Wilson. Or I could see it bottoming out and us going 4-13, 3-14, and Aaron Glenn being a one and done, Justin Fields being a one and done, and we're picking Lenore Sellers in the first round. And we'll get to my college football predictions because that's something else I want to get to because your boy has been right a few years with his college football predictions about the quarterback to watch going into the next
Yeah.
league. So next step of his career. We'll get to that a little later as well.
There we go. We'll test that a little bit. I appreciate you giving that breakdown. Just hearing where you kind of teetered on the Jets and their wins versus losses. You and I think a lot alike, and I think that it makes it so cool to really be able to like do this with you because we do this. This is our regular phone calls, so we're just recording our phone conversations about sports and all these things, and we're just letting the world hear it. So I think what we'll do in that breath is let's just go ahead and jump in. What I'm interested in is now just taking a look. We talked about it earlier today. We were going to split up each conference. You take the NFC, I take the AFC, and we would just talk about all of the teams in the conference, where we think they sit, who will come out on top in that division, and who we think could potentially be some playoff teams to be on alert. And so we'll start with the NFC. If you want to just give us your rundown, you can go ahead and start us off with that.
Okay, that's a bet. I think the perfect place really for me to start with the NFC. You know what? I'll stay home. Matter of fact, I want to start with the NFC South. That's really one of the
You ain't gonna start with
easiest divisions.
You ain't gonna start with the Super Bowl champs?
Oh man, I hope you're talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when you're talking about the potential Super Bowl champs out of the NFC South.
No, I'm talking about the
Because
Eagles.
oh, you're talking about the Eagles? No, the NFC South is the Panthers, the
Yeah.
Bucks. Yeah.
Yeah, but what I
So
was saying is I thought you were going to start with the NFC
East.
champions. Like,
Okay. Well,
yeah,
I can do that. I can do that because I was starting with the South because that's where I think the NFC winner comes out of. That goes in on to face the AFC team for the Super Bowl. But if that's okay, I will start with the defending NFC champions and I will start with the NFC East.
all right, go
I,
ahead.
for one, believe that the streak continues of no team repeating to win the NFC East. I believe the team that wins the NFC East this year is the Washington Commanders. I believe it is the Commanders, the Eagles, the Giants at third, and then the Cowboys. I feel that way strongly because I think Jaden Daniels makes that next leap. I don't see a world where Jaden Daniels has that sophomore slump that a CJ Stroud had. I feel like the reason he won't is because his front office did what the Texans did not do.
Yeah,
His front office tackled that offensive line. Instead of getting him more weapons,
yeah,
they did that, but they also tackled that offensive line. Jaden Daniels was kind of sacked middle of the road last year, but he did a good job of getting rid of the ball. He did a good job of being elusive, scrambling, and adding a Debo Samuel. They did lose Brian Robinson, but they added Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt in the NFL draft. That's a name if you guys play fantasy football, look him up. Austin Eckler, and he will probably be the 1-2 punch with a little bit of Chris Rodriguez in that backfield as well. I like the Commanders a lot.
If I could jump in real quick, what I want to say is I think you're spot on with the Commanders' analysis. I think what they did is something that I think a lot of teams should adopt if they want to be a good football club. Is I think they established in the draft a need for their front line, whether that was their offensive line, whether that was their defensive line. They established that as a priority, and they realized that if they wanted to bring in more weapons, they weren't going to get young weapons. They were going to get established weapons. An established weapon is Deebo Samuels. Putting him in a healthy plan where he can heal, where he can manage and make sure that his skill, his weight are all under control, so that way he can be a prime-time receiver, a prime-time offensive weapon, making sure that you re-sign Terry McLaurin to a deal that keeps him home and doesn't allow him to go find somewhere else to play, making sure that you bring back your rookie quarterback, your young guy's favorite target is Zach Ertz. That's what you do. You keep these weapons around them that are established, that are around this quarterback, that are established, that are proven, that are ready to go, and you really prioritize going out and finding the very best lineman that you can find in the draft, because we know if you hit on a good lineman, if you find a guy that can really play, he'll stick around with your team. Look at some of these linemen who historically been stuck on teams, like we say, for a long bit of time, and they just haven't been winning because they're loyal to their organizations.
Yeah, a lot of players are, and it's funny you mentioned that. And I don't want to go too much on a tangent, but a name that was like that walked away from the game this offseason, the Miami Dolphins. He used to play for the Saints as well. I am blanking on his name, but he played left tackle for the Dolphins, and he ended up walking away this offseason. Eric Armstead.
Yeah.
I want to say, is it Armstead? Armstead might be the defensive lineman. Don't quote me on that, and I hate that I'm saying the wrong name on stream, but I'm gonna search for it because like it's crazy. He was actually one of the best offensive linemen last season, and he ended up walking away from football, bro. And it's crazy because he could have honestly went to what he could have went to a Green Bay that needed offensive line help. He could have came to Kansas City, and it wasn't Eric Armstead. It was Teron Armstead. I knew his last name was Armstead. Yes, he's a 5-time Pro Bowler. He made 2 All-Pro teams. He played 6 seasons with the Dolphins, and he played 6 seasons with the Saints. And he walked away from the game this offseason. So that's a team in the AFC that I'm going to be waiting to hear how you have shake out, because I want to hear them behind my Jets because they lost a lot this offseason. Yeah, again, I think the Eagles are going to be a good team. They're going to make the playoffs. I think the Giants can be a sneaky team. Don't get me wrong. The way Russell Wilson has played this preseason allows me to think they can leave Dart on the bench a little longer, but I don't think they're ready quite yet. That defense is ready, and then the Cowboys are just rebuilding. Shooting to the NFC West, I think this is another easy division for me, man. The NFC West is going to be won by the San Francisco 49ers. They have the easiest schedule in football going off of last year's records for teams that they'll be facing this upcoming year. I'm not 100% concerned about anybody in that division. Their biggest comp, in my opinion, is not the Rams. I think Matthew Stafford's back is going to be an issue for 18 games this season. So I have that division at San Fran at 1. I have the Cardinals surprising a lot of people being a wild card team. This is a make or break year for Kyler Murray and company. I have number 3 being the Rams. I'll put the Rams at number 3, and then I have the Seahawks finishing 4th. Everyone is saying Sam Darnold is an upgrade over Geno Smith, and I don't 100% know that because he doesn't have Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Aaron Jones. He doesn't have all those weapons. Hawkinson at tight end. So I'm going to have to see how Sam Darnold plays with Jackson Smith and Jigba, Cooper Cup now. I'm gonna have to see how that looks. So yeah, I got them in last in the
Smith,
NFC West.
Smith and Jigba and Cooper Cup are going to be a really good like duo. I think people are playing fantasy. I think Cooper Cup is going to be one of the best options to go with if you're looking for a wide receiver too. If you're looking for a really strong flex option that's going to do some really big numbers. But I want to go back to the Rams. So you think that Aaron? You think that our dear friend, right? And I call him our dear friend because we both love him very much. I think he's a quality quarterback. But you believe that he's going to suffer back injuries all year? I know he's dealt with a little bit of them, but is it that severe? Like, am I missing something?
So from what I saw, they were preparing Jimmy Garoppolo to possibly play week one because they
Wow.
didn't understand the severity of Matthew Stafford's back injury.
Yeah.
Excuse me, and it kept him out pretty much all training camp. He played sparingly in training camp. He didn't play any in the preseason. So, I mean,
Do you
the
go?
way I see it,
Do you go
I'm sorry,
Garoppolo there, or do you go Stetson Bennett?
you definitely go Garoppolo. Stetson Bennett looked horrible in the preseason.
Really? Okay.
He looked like a seventh round pick in the preseason, bro. So I
Okay.
think in my opinion, this is just me, but their best bet would have been to maybe try to get one of those young quarterbacks from Cleveland. But I mean, I don't think that's really an option right now. I know Kenny Pickett got dealt to the Raiders because Aiden O'Connell, I think they said he broke his collarbone or fractured his something. He has some arm injury yet again. It
Yeah.
seems like Aiden O'Connell has gotten hurt the last two seasons where he's unable to play and be there as a backup. So Kenny Pickett's no longer an option. I think they should have traded for somebody. But yeah, you definitely go Jimmy G there.
Okay.
Definitely.
I didn't
I
watch
don't
as
trust
many,
Bennett.
I didn't watch as many preseason games as I would have liked to, but the ones that I did watch, I got a good gauge on some of the AFC teams that I'm going to talk about. Uh,
Yeah.
and so I didn't know Stetson looked as bad as he did. I was hoping that Stetson would get a chance. I mean, being 27, this is his second year. Well, second year, what third playing season in the league this year. So he'll be coming up on his third playing season. And so I was
Yeah.
really hoping that it was like high time that they can start giving the keys over to him because I think he's at a pretty good age where he's mature. He can go out and make some of the passes, make some of the throws. But I think everybody's waiting for 26. Everybody's waiting for the 26 QB class. Like I
Oh,
put
without question.
yeah, everybody's waiting for that class. And so
Yeah.
I think the landscape will look completely different. But please continue.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%, bro. I won't be surprised if this is Stafford's last year as a Rams starting quarterback as well. Want to go ahead and get that out there. Don't know who will be there for them next year, but I won't be surprised if it's not Stafford.
Yeah.
NFC South. I'm going to go to the NFC South because, again, like I said, I feel like the team that represents the NFC comes out of this division. And I am very high on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this year, bro. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. The moves they made this offseason, adding to the defense, the draft picks they made, Emeka Ibuka, I am very high on him. I won't be surprised if he's the best receiver from this draft. I won't be surprised if he's offensive rookie of the year this season with Chris Godwin starting on the pup list. It's going to be him and Mike Evans. Kate Otton's going to be injured. So, I mean, it's going to be free reign for Ibuka. Baker Mayfield, he has shown that in the playoffs, he's a different quarterback.
Yeah.
Although he doesn't, always have the supporting cast around him, he has that supporting cast in Tampa. I am very high on Tampa. Another team I'm very high on in this division is the Atlanta Falcons. It's not my Carolina Panthers, the hometown team. It is the Atlanta Falcons. I can a lot of you all that follow us on TikTok saw that I posted a commentary about Michael Penix on there, and I got a lot of good back and forth communication with Atlanta Falcons fans. And they tell me he's the real deal. I went back and looked at footage from last year, and when he had time to throw, he was the real deal. He has weapons. I think Atlanta can be a sneaky playoff team in the NFC. Of course, I have the Saints at the bottom. They're looking to draft a quarterback. And I can't wait till we talk about college football, bro, because I want to get your opinion on
Yeah.
how you feel about all of these quarterback needy teams, the Saints, my
Yeah.
Jets potentially. the way Arch Manning looked, it will be interesting to see what is what for that quarterback class if it's a minus Arch Manning draft class, because it does not look pretty without Arch Manning. But yeah, Tampa Bay, Atlanta, Carolina, Saints for the NFC South, and I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers winning the NFC.
Cool.
Last but not least, the most competitive division, I feel like this year, probably in the NFL, the NFC North, you could legitly see a team win 8 games, 9 games in this division and miss the playoffs and be a fourth place team. I legitly could see a 12, 11, 10 win teams in this division. And I'll be honest with you, bro, the team that I got facing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the NFC Championship game is the Green Bay Packers. And I got them winning the NFC North. And particularly, really, is going to be not that close. Yeah. I got them maybe winning 11, 12, 13 games. But I could also see Tampa being an 11, 12, 13 win team as well, maybe getting the tiebreaker. So that's why it was that way. But I have Green Bay. I've always been high on Jordan Love. Matt Golden, he was the best receiver in college football last year. They got him in Green Bay now to add to that treasure trove of receivers. Yeah. The tight end position is 2 good guys, Tucker Kraft. The running back position, they got Josh Jacobs, who's a top 10 guy last year by most metrics. The only thing for me was their offensive line. I'm not 1,000% sure that they improved the offensive line dramatically from last year, but I just feel like a year with offensive line, with the quarterback, just building that cohesion, that will definitely help Green Bay, help Jordan Love. And if he can cut down on his turnovers, bro, he has a chance to be a sneaky MVP candidate this year. So I got Green Bay at 1. Surprise team, honestly, at number 2, bro. I'm going with the Chicago Bears, bro. I think Caleb Williams is what we think he is, bro. I think he is. He didn't have a good coaching staff, didn't really have a great situation last year. Again, like we were talking about, bro, young quarterback, why are you bringing in weapons? Bring in an offensive line, and that's what they did this offseason. They got your boy Joe Tooney. They replaced the offensive guard positions, both of them, and added a Pro Bowl level center this offseason. So hopefully their tackle positions can work. I know they're 2 young guys, and DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, that offense still looks good. I got the Vikings at 3rd, bro. I'll be honest with you. I can see the Detroit Lions having a bad season and finishing 4th in this division, still being an 8-win team, still being a 9-win team, just not getting home. So I got Green Bay, Chicago, Minnesota, Detroit for the NFC North.
Gotcha. Wow, that's a great breakdown. I love that. I think you got Chicago just a little high. I think Chicago's starting running back is Swift, right?
DeAndre Swift.
I think they're really going to have to lean on the running game this year. They're going to have to lean on the running game. From what I've seen of Caleb's preseason, either he's not ready for this season or there's something going on between his ears that's not allowing him to connect with the steps the organization is making for him. I don't know exactly what it is. None of what I'm saying is negative. I think ultimately it does lend itself to, though, asking the question, hey, Caleb, what do we need to do to help prepare you? Like, what do we need to do to help make sure that you're ready to go out there and compete? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, he has to play the Minnesota Vikings twice this year. He's got to play the Detroit Lions twice this year. He's got to play the Green Bay Packers twice this year, and that's just in his division. All 3 of these teams, as you just named, could sit potentially 4 if all of the stars align for the Bears. All 4 of these teams could be sitting in the top 7 slots through the majority of the football season until we know how the division shakes out. So Caleb is going to have to come ready to play for 6 guaranteed games plus the rest of the schedule to try to be able to contribute something as the number one quarterback on that roster. And I just don't know if right now Caleb is ready to give us that. I don't know what limitations he's experiencing or he has that is preventing him from being able to give us what we're looking for from him as the number one guy. So I don't know. I love that you think the Packers are going to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. I don't think the Packers
and Bucks, but I got the Bucks beating them.
Okay, Packers and Bucks. And then you think the Bucks are going to the Super Bowl?
I think the Bucks are going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you must have got on here and started drinking before we started recording. Because that's wild turkey, bro.
Nah, they're the best team in the NFC. One of the best teams in the NFC. If not, have the easiest division in terms of quarterbacks, in terms of the top tier quarterbacks. Let's look at the quarterbacks that they'd be competing with. It's Baker, Matthew Stafford, Jordan Love in terms of top tier teams in the NFC. Jared Goff. I'm taking Baker Mayfield over a Jared Goff. I'm taking a Baker Mayfield over who are these other names he's competing with? He's the best quarterback in his division. The NFC West, like I said, him and Kyler. I like the Bucks more than the Cardinals situation. I like the Bucks more than the Rams situation because I don't know what I'm getting with Stafford. I like the Bucks more than honestly the only team in the NFC. Well, in the NFC East, I like the Eagles and I like the Commanders as well. But I think they'll beat up on each other. That division's a bloodbath. If we're looking at path to a home playoff game in the NFC, the Bucks have the easiest road by far.
That I agree with, but you have to acknowledge that there are 4 phases to football. Offense, defense, special teams, and coaching. If we're talking about what team comes to football with those 4 phases most ready to win a Super Bowl right now, it is the Detroit Lions. You cannot talk about a team in the NFC without talking about the Detroit Lions and the Philadelphia Eagles. I truly do believe those will be the 2 teams representing the NFC for the NFC Championship game, with winner going to the Super Bowl. I cannot imagine a world where any other team shows up. I think that the Buccaneers do make the playoffs, so I love your assessment. I think the Packers do make the playoffs. I love your assessment. I think the Commanders make the playoffs. I love your assessment. But I think that's where the bloodbath will be. I think the bloodbath will be with numbers 3 through 7. Because number 1 and 2 in my mind are solidified. Number 1 and 2, the Eagles and the Lions. There's no, I don't think there's a world around. I don't think there's a world around those 2 as a 1 or 2. I think those seats might flip. I think Minnesota finds themselves somewhere in the mix. I think that maybe Seattle surprises a lot of people because there's like a void in that division where all of those teams could be really good or all of those teams in that division could be really bad, with San Fran, with the Seattle, with the Rams, with Arizona. They all could be 8 and 9 and trying to get into the playoffs, or they all could easily be 11, 12, 13 win teams at the top of that division. You just don't know what you're getting with them. And so I just cannot realistically digest a world that doesn't have the Eagles, Detroit, at least in the narrative of NFC Championship potentially for 2025 season.
Okay, so let me respond to this quickly. Then I'm going to let you give your AFC outlook because I want to hear that as well.
Yeah.
But I do have them in the conversation. I don't want you to think that I have Philly missing the playoffs, that I have Detroit missing the playoffs. I have both of them being competitive, competing for a playoff spot. Well, with the Eagles, the thing that concerns me about the Eagles is Saquon Barkley going to be able to rush for another 2,000 yards to carry that offense? Because they lost pieces on defense this offseason. One of the most notable names, Milton Williams, went to the New England Patriots on a big deal. They if I'm not mistaken, didn't CJ Gardner-Johnson leave this offseason as well? They lost a lot of veterans from that defense. That defense was key and pretty much, destroying Kansas City in the Super Bowl. Like, I mean, that pass rush, it was a lot. So they lost pieces. Now they still have
CJ
Jordan Davis.
plays for the Houston Texans now, so he did in fact leave the Eagles this offseason.
Yes, and then Milton Williams signed a big deal with the Patriots, but the Patriots gave him like 70 something, 80 something million.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they ended up bringing back Zach Bond on a big deal. They gave Saquon his extension. I mean, don't get me wrong, they kept a lot of the pieces, but they lost pieces too. And so I just have to see how that works. If Saquon's able to rush for another 2,005 yards, then the Eagles will be right there. But I think the Commanders in that division are going to give them a lot of trouble. I really do, because I think the Commanders can score with them. And as far as the Lions, I think them losing both coordinators offensively and defensively, and Ben Johnson going to Chicago and Aaron Glenn coming to my New York Jets will be major for them. I haven't seen or heard much about Aiden Hutchinson's health with that broken leg that he had mid-season last year. All I saw was film from the offseason, and he looked like he lost a step. So if he isn't that Nick Bosa, uh, uh, Myles Garrett, like level D end edge rusher that we thought he would be, that defense looks differently. And then now that's putting more pressure on Jared Goff, more pressure on that offense, who, I mean, let's be honest, they lost a weapon this offseason as well. So they still got Amonra, they still got Gibbs, but more on Jared Goff's plate. I don't love that. I don't love that.
But you don't think that doesn't open up for an offense? That doesn't open up with sometimes addition happens by subtraction. And I think that the Detroit Lions offense is going to be the epitome of that metaphor when you hear that, because with what subtractions they've had offensively, this opens up and makes more room for Jameson Williams. This now gives you an opportunity to truly prioritize running the football with two potential 1,000-yard guys who can like go off anytime anytime you put the ball in either one of their hands, right? And so I think that there is, and then you have a really good tight end who many think in fantasy is a top 5 tight end in Hawkinson.
So it's a really good guy. Laporta.
Laporta. And so it's like, what are we like? We have to give their offense some type of grace, because Jared Goff is a first overall pick. I'm not saying he's great. Am I saying that there are other quarterbacks in the league better than him? Yes, I think Goff is a 15 to 20 quarterback in football if you're ranking every quarterback who starts. So I'm not making it seem as though he's phenomenal. But what I am saying is we're talking about a team who knew that both of their coordinators were going to be head coaches 2 seasons ago. So they've been prepping their replacements. So we know that whoever got those jobs in the coordinator seats are people who have been trained and are ready to go. We know that this offense has struggled at times because they've had entirely too many weapons to use. And then we watched a period of last season where they didn't have any weapons at all, because you have your number 1 receiver hurt with an injury. Your number 2 or 3 receiver is out suspended because he's using Viagra to help, and they consider it a performance enhancing drug. Then you've got one of your best running backs, one of the better running backs in football, hurt, and you don't know when he's coming back, right? Sonic and Knuckles, they haven't been on the same page for half the season, right? With Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery. So it's like you're now looking at a last year's circumstance where, in spite of all of that, they still won a lot of games. Their defense is still pretty darn good. If you can run the football and you can play good defense, that's going to win you 8 games in the National Football League. Heaven forbid you can pass the ball a little bit. If Jared Goff gets his act together, they could be a 12-win team.
That's where I think they don't. I think Goff is the reason that kind of holds that team back. I'll be honest.
Okay. Well, I mean, those are all fair assessments. You know, I push back where I think you and I differ, but a lot of what you said I actually agree with. So I feel I appreciate the sentiments. So what we'll do now is we'll jump into the AFC. Let's talk a little bit about that, right?
Yeah.
Because we've already talked about much of football. So I think I want to get started when we talk about AFC and who wins what and where. I think I want to get started. I want to get started with the AFC South just because the AFC South is so easy to talk about because I don't think any of those teams are going to be good this season. When I talk about the AFC South, I'll start with the Tennessee Titans. I think the Tennessee Titans are going to be a 6-win team this year, right? They may not be a great team, wins versus losses. We know they just got the number 1 overall pick. Cam Ward is a guy that's coming in. They still got Calvin Ridley. They've still got Tony Pollard in the backfield. They've got some other running back depth that they can try to switch and do some things with. But their number 2 running back, correct me, their number 2 running back is who?
Tajay Spears.
Tajay Spears is still hurt, correct? He's not. I just tried to draft him in our fantasy league, and they said that he might not be playing week 1. So that's an up in the air like development that I think even fantasy doesn't truly know. But
Tony Pollard, stock going up.
Stock going up, right? And so I don't think they'll be a good wins or loss team, but I think they'll be really fun to watch because we're watching a quarterback in Cam Ward who is showing us that you can be a different type of quarterback. You can be a different type of guy under the leadership and under the leadership guise of being a quarterback. You can come to work, you can mind your business, put your head down, lock in, and do the thing, right? There are many variations of quarterbacks that we see in this league, and we'll talk about another one that I think is on the other end of the spectrum, but I love both so much in Shedeur Sanders when we get to the AFC North. But I think the Tennessee Titans, like I said, 6-win team. They may not be a good ball club, wins or losses, but I think they'll be really fun to watch. I think it'll be a good game anytime you cut them on. I just don't think they'll win a lot. That takes me to the Colts. I also think the Colts are going to be a 6-win team. I think that the Titans and the Colts split games this year. I think AR is out. I think Anthony Richardson is out of that organization. I think they move on from Anthony Richardson before the trade deadline. I don't think it makes sense to keep him much longer than that. You've already told him you told him a week before preseason was over, before they stopped playing preseason games, that he's not the starter anymore and that you've elected to go with Daniel Jones. Let's be practical, guys. Like, if you're making that declaration now, you've already seen the writing on the wall that he's no longer your guy. Let's go ahead and move on. Let's get him out of there because I think there are going to be a lot of people pushing for the 2026 quarterbacks, okay?
You know where I'd like to see him go? I just stay there really quick.
Talk to me.
The Los Angeles Rams get a hold of Anthony Richardson.
He'd be a great fit. I think he could be a phenomenal fit in a new city with really good defense. You bring him in some solid weapons so that way he can do his thing out in Hollywood. That's a phenomenal assessment. I think that's exactly where he needs to go. I love that.
Buy low option for the Rams.
Yeah, but oh yeah.
Buy significantly low.
6th round pick. Your 7th round pick, right? So you're not spending a whole bunch of money. They're looking to get rid of him because they don't want the hit on the cap. Going into his 4th season is going into what would be his 3rd or 4th season.
So he was with Bryce's draft. So yeah, this would be coming in year 4.
Yeah, so you don't want that hit on the cap.
Your option. Ooh, yeah, it's about that time to decide. Because I think he was pick 5, wasn't he? Yeah, that's a fat contract. I get it.
You don't want that on the cap.
Yeah.
So so this is where I think the AFC gets really interesting. I think both the Texans and the Jags are 9-win teams, and I think that the division is decided on week 18 for both teams. I think whoever wins their week 18 game, the Texans have Indy week 18, the Jags have the Titans week 18. Whoever wins their game, I think, wins the division and gets a chance to play in the wild card the following weekend.
Jags play the Titans.
Yes, Jags play the Titans, and I can see a world where the Jags might slip in because I think the Jags win more games in the month of October and November. And if you win in October, if you're winning in November, you're guaranteed to play in January. That's what I like to believe. I think that's the common consensus across high school sports, across college sports, across pro sports, and especially in the game of football. If you win in October and if you win more than you lose in November, you're probably playing in the postseason. And so I think that the Jacksonville Jaguars find themselves into the playoffs as a wild card team. All right. We'll now jump to the AFC North. I just like the AFC North because I think this is just such an interesting gambit of teams in the AFC North. You got the Ravens, the Steelers, the Browns, the Bengals. I think that the Bengals are an 8-9 team. It's time for Cincy to go ahead and let go of Joe Burrows. I think this is Joe's last year as their starting quarterback. I think he decides to pack it up and ask for an exit. His career is being sunk by the fact that what we talked about earlier, some of our similar quarterbacks, they're not prioritizing the offensive line. They barely wanted to prioritize the strong weapons that they had to the extent that we had a lot of these up and down. Is a guy going to stay? Is he going to get traded? Remind me if I'm wrong. T. Higgins had a bounce around with the organization for almost a year, whether or not he was going to get a deal, whether or not he was going to get a contract. So at this point, you're already showing me that you're not committed to the offensive success of the team. Let's not talk about what they're doing to the defensive success of the team. What we saw with their first round draft pick, what we saw with the number one sack guy in football last year. Let's not even discuss that. You want to make it hard for players to play in your organization, and you want to be an organization that draws a line in the sand that says it's our way or the highway, when that is not how football gets played anymore. Ask Jerry Jones. It's not his way or the highway. I will lay on the sideline and I will wait for you to trade me. And you'll trade me to a team that will potentially make a run to the playoffs, make a run to the Super Bowl. So it's not your way or the highway, as these organizations like to think it is. That good old boy mentality needs to go out the window, right? So I think the Bengals are really going to sink the ship with Joe Burrows this year. I think they're going to be an 8-9 team just because Joe is not going to go out without a fight, just because I think Jamar Chase is going to get all the touches and make all of the plays. So we'll see what happens. I think the Cleveland Browns, they're going to be a 4-win team. I think that quarterback room is just a little too messy. The indecision around who's going to be the guy, who's not going to be the guy, who's going to get a chance to be the guy, it's just a little too messy for me. And I think that dynamic is a perfect cover-up for why the organization is trying to tank. I think that's the perfect storm of bringing in confusion around things that we as the public believe should be understood and constant. I think they're going to use that as a shelter to prevent all of us from seeing that they're trying to tank. And what's going to be extremely disheartening is that Myles Garrett is going to fall victim to an organization who will never get it right. So I think that 2026 is going to be their year to find a quarterback. I think they're a 4-win team. The Steelers for me is the most interesting team in the AFC, just because I talk about the 4 dynamics of football all of the time. The 4 dynamics is offense, defense, special teams, and coaching. If you look at the Steelers, the Pittsburgh Steelers have always done a great job of being the AFC team over the last 20 years who have had all 4 of those dynamics of football, concrete, good to go. It did not matter who the personnel was, more as it mattered how hard they fought, how hard they were committed, and how committed they were to the idea of being a Steeler. And many of these teams that they've had, whether good or bad, have all done the same thing. Made really late pushes in the regular season. Once you get to week 10, you start seeing a different Pittsburgh Steelers team, and they start making their push, and you find that this team is probably going to win more than they lose games. And so I easily believe that the Steelers could be a 10-7 team, especially with Tomlin still being their head coach, with them having Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback. DK Metcalf as their number one option. They still will be able to run the ball really well with Warren in the backfield. You still got a really stout defense. TJ Watt is still one of the best defenders in football, defensive players in football. And so I think those are the makings of a 10-win team who could potentially push to be a 12-win team if they catch wins in week 4 and week 14. And so those are just some of the things that I'm thinking about. Circle on your calendar week 4 and week 14. Week 4, they play. Let me look. I should have wrote it down on my notes. But week 4, the Steelers play in a game that I'm like, hey, the Steelers could win that game. And
they play Minnesota week 4.
Week 4, they play Minnesota. Week 14.
Week 14, they at Baltimore.
They're at Baltimore. If they win at Baltimore and if they beat Minnesota, I think they could be a 12-win team. I still think Minnesota is going to be a tough challenge for a lot of teams this year. That then leaves me with the Baltimore Ravens, who I believe is going to win the AFC North this year, coming out with about 12 wins. I think they're going to be a 12-win team this year. Surprising to many folks, I think the Baltimore Ravens lose week 1's ball game. I think they come out and I think they lay a significant goose egg this weekend against the Buffalo Bills. But I do believe that this is also going to be the team that makes the most significant push that we've seen under the Lamar Jackson era. And I think they're going to walk into the AFC Championship game with so much energy. I think that Derrick Henry is going to be the dark horse for the MVP. I think he's also going to be the NFL league rusher in rushing yards and in rushing touchdowns. So if you're placing a bet on futures this year, I definitely think that MVP has Derrick Henry's name written all over it, okay? Now let's take it to the AFC East. I know this is your favorite division. We want to talk a little bit about the Jets. I think the Jets this season, 5 wins, 6-win team. It's the Jets. Like it's unfortunate. It's the Jets. We all held our breath in unanimous fear that some practice in the middle of the preseason, we thought that Justin Fields blew his ACL out. Then we thought it was his Achilles, and then just come to find out it was who knows, right? Like
it was his big toe.
It was his big toe. Like you can't really know what's going on in the Jets organization, and you can't really put your finger on the dysfunction of it all. But we know the dysfunction is there. It's just
ownership. It's ownership.
If it truly is the ownership is always going to stand in the way of why your New York Jets are always going to be bad. And I'm sorry, bro. I know you're a fan, bro. And at this point, I talk so much trash about the Jets that I'm like kind of wanting to root for Justin Fields this year and hope that he gets it done. But the organization just makes it so hard to want to root for them. You know, the organization makes it hard, I'm certain, for you as a fan when they do and don't do specific things that they should do. How many of the quarterbacks do we talk about in these successful situations did they pass on? The same guy that they signed to be their starter this year, they could have signed 4 years ago to be their starter. They could have drafted him 4 or 5 years ago to be their starter. And it's like, what is happening? You could have got rid of Salah a year ago or 2 years. You could have got rid of him a year early and brought in one of these other phenomenal coaches who's made some significant change. I thought Quinn should have been y'all's head coach. Look what he did in his first year with the Commanders.
We could have got Harbaugh.
Come on.
Gave him access to the draft. Yeah, it was options. It was definitely options.
It's options out there. I just don't think the ownership is committed to the franchise the way you, the fan, are committed to the franchise. And so that's why I think they're a 5-win team. Going up a little bit further, I want to talk about the Pats. I think the Pats are going to be about a 7-win team, 6 or 7-win team. They've got a number one receiver, in my opinion, in Stephon Diggs. They've got great coaching. They just brought in a really, really good head coach in Mike Vrabel, in my opinion. I think he makes them better, but I don't think they become significantly better in year one. I still am not certain about the quarterback decision that they have. I think that there's they're an organization waiting on the 2026 quarterback class. And I think when we talk a little bit about college football through week 1, we'll talk about some of the places that I think these quarterbacks could land. I think the Pats are looking for a week 1, a 2026 quarterback for week 1 of 2026. So then we talk about the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are going to be a 6-win team. It's time for them to move on from Tua. Let's just be real. It's time for them to move on from Tua. This experiment of having this quote-unquote offensive explosion, I think it's done. I think it's time to let it go. You know, Tyreek Hill was a good addition. Time to move on from him. He's old. One of the things about a receiver of Tyreek Hill's status is once he gets old, he gets slow. And the thing that doesn't help him is he ain't tall. So what do you do with a guy like that? You're not moving him to tailback because he's not going to take more hits as he gets older. He's not phenomenally a lightning bolt every single play now because you're starting to see that durability issues exist. I mean, let's be real. I think we need to really go ahead and blow that team up. Then they had the addition of the tight end Darren Waller. He unretired to come back. That's not a needle mover, guys. Like that's not a needle mover. I'm sorry.
Maybe in 2017, 2018 it would have been, but
and he was high then. You know, like I'm sorry.
He was nice though.
It was nice, but he wasn't even really the guy then. He was in the conversation, but he wasn't. He wasn't such a needle mover that him being back on the organization now blows people's minds. So that's just kind of where I am with the Dolphins. I think there's a world where the Dolphins could be even worse than the Jets this year. Then we talk about the Buffalo Bills. I think the Buffalo Bills, if you can pull up their schedule, because I want to shout them out too. I think that the Buffalo Bills are going to be an 11-win team this year. I think that I saw earlier today that the Buffalo Bills just signed back Gabe Davis. We know that is for them like signing Randy Moss, right? Because when Gabe Davis was being targeted by Josh Allen a few seasons ago, Gabe Davis was unstoppable, right? One of the disappointing things that I think came with Gabe Davis's departure from Buffalo was he left Buffalo with the intent to catch a bag somewhere else, that somewhere else being Jacksonville, and he just fizzled out so quickly. And so I think that there's going to be an opportunity for Keon Coleman. There's going to be an opportunity for Dalton Kincaid, an opportunity for Gabe Davis. There's going to be an opportunity for who else?
Curtis Samuel. You already said Keon Coleman. They got James Cook at running back. He'll be able to make more plays.
When you talk about
weapons.
When you talk about those 5 players, those guys could go to many of these teams and be the guy. Buffalo's offense is quietly scary. Behind a guy who I don't believe should have been the MVP last year, I think that's a fallacy. I think it was completely disrespectful to Lamar Jackson because Lamar should have been the MVP last year. But giving it to Josh Allen is just the league's way of saying, hey, we want to validate someone else besides the guy who's been winning it nonstop. Josh Allen, I think, is going to have a really good year. I think he's also going to be an MVP candidate. I think that they lose week 9 and week 17. I think they start the season off with a week 1 victory. And I think we'll know based on how well their defense plays because they have the addition of the new Bosa, correct? Bosa. They have
Joey. From what if I'm not mistaken, he didn't play a lot in the preseason because of injury. But
I don't expect
he's for the regular season.
Yeah, I don't expect them to play a lot. I think we'll know how good they are of a team based on how their defense plays. If they have a lot of turnovers, I think that'll be indicative of their year based on their week 1 game. Because I think when you look at their schedule, their challenge is going to be week 1 against the Ravens, week 9 against Kansas City,
Yeah, they play all week 9. Week 1 is Baltimore, and
And week
week
17
17 is Philly.
is Philly. Those are the three games where, if you look at Buffalo's schedule, you'll get a temperature test of how good they're really going to be, because those are the three teams that I think all have. Those are the four teams that all have significant opportunities of winning a Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, they legitly could go 14-3.
They legitimately could go 14-3, but they could also drop a game to. They could also drop a game that they shouldn't drop to Miami. They could drop
Yes,
a
we
game.
beat them. We beat them 2 years ago. So
They
yeah,
could drop stupid. They could drop stupid
yeah,
games to teams in their division that you're like, what are they doing? You know, that's how Buffalo is. Buffalo will beat the Baltimore Ravens by 30 and then lose to the Patriots by 14. And you're like, how did that happen? So now I want to jump into, because I've been talking a long time, I want to jump into the AFC West, my favorite division in football. Let's talk about the Raiders. I think the Raiders could be an 8-win team. I believe in Geno Smith. I believe in Pete Carroll. That's my two favorite new combo in this season. Pete Carroll, Geno Smith. I just think that it was so profound. I think it was one of the great moments in football. Watching Geno Smith walk out of the tunnel as a Raider for the first time in the black and silver. I'm talking about flicking a fan off. Him sticking his middle fingers up to the fans, just like the opposing team's fans, speaks such amazing volumes to not necessarily the vulgarity of what he was saying, but speaks volumes to how cutthroat and how hard-nosed being a Raider truly is. I had an opportunity in December to go visit the Raiders Stadium and do a full exclusive tour of the stadium. I'll drop pictures so that way people can see it on our social medias. But man, when I tell you, just being in the building with the black and silver is invigorating. You get a chance to understand what it is to be a nasty, gritty, grungy, turn your nose up and kick butt type of football player. And I think Geno really embodies that. I think he's going to kick a lot of people's teeth in this year, and people aren't going to see it coming. The Chargers are going to be a 9-win team. I just think this division is crowded. This division is the most crowded division, in my opinion, in the AFC. So I can see a world where those 9 wins do nothing for the Chargers anyways. I think they're going to run the ball well. I think that this is going to be a really good year for their quarterback. I think that we're going to get a chance to see them run the football really well and truly embody the identity of Harbaugh and what he is as a coach. I want to then talk about the Denver Broncos. I think the Denver Broncos are going to be a 10-win team and could be a serious threat in 2025. I think that there's a world where they beat a lot of teams that we don't think they're going to beat. I definitely think that they split with the Kansas City Chiefs one of those games and pushes us to the wire in the second game, where Kansas City is going to have to emerge and show that they can get it done. I think that the coaching is there. I think that the quarterback play is there in Bo Nix. I love that the quarterbacks in the AFC all are probably some of the best quarterbacks in the AFC West, are probably some of the best quarterbacks up and coming. You've got Bo Nix, who's an up and coming guy. You got Justin Herbert, who I think really has the cachet. I think he's the toughest quarterback in the AFC. Just watching him make throws in the pocket behind a bad O-line. But no question about it, Kansas City emerges as one of the teams to represent in the AFC again this year. I think they're a 12-win team. I think they play in the AFC Championship game against the Baltimore Ravens, and unfortunately, I hate to report this, but this will be the last time we see the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game for a very long time. I don't believe that we'll see them again in the AFC Championship game until 2028 or later. I think that Kansas City is at its last stop on the line. I think that this train is coming to an end. I think that by the end of this season, we see Travis Kelce walk away from football. I think by the end of this season, we see some transitions of Andy Reid from the head coaching position to a front office job where he'll now become potentially in some way a proxy general manager or in some way player personnel. I think it's time for him to step away from football also. I think that we will see in this season the turn of the tide in such a way that as a Kansas City fan, it will be heartbreaking, but it will be blissful to have been able to see the rise and the fall of this dynasty. Can you still hear me? It looks like I'm frozen.
Yeah, no, I can still hear you. It does have you frozen, but I can still hear you. That is interesting that you say that, bro. The end of the Kansas City Chiefs dynasty. That's crazy to think about, bro, because for the last, what, 5, 6 years, probably a little longer than that, since Mahomes has been the starting quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs, you can pretty much pencil them in for at least the AFC Championship game pretty much every year. And
Regularly, bro. Regularly. And it's a heartbreaker, man. It's a heartbreaker, but with all good things, it must come to an end, And so
yeah.
we are watching history in the making. You and I had a conversation about it yesterday. There are very few people who come very close to Tom Brady and his legacy. I think that Patrick Mahomes is the second person behind Tom Brady. I know we've seen many quarterbacks come and go, the Dan Marinos, the Brett Favres, and all of these guys. No one has the gravitas that Patrick Mahomes has had on sports, the game, and his success has been so largely indicative of his greatness. And so I think we're just going to be at a place now where for a bit of time, we have to admire his greatness in the 18 games we get to watch him, and we won't see him in the postseason.
Man, the other note that I had that I wanted to talk about was what you said about the Cincinnati Bengals, this being Joe Burrow's last season. We did this for a quarterback that's less valuable right now, and Anthony Richardson and saying a perfect fit for him. I also will include the Rams as a perfect fit for Joe Burrow in a perfect world. But man, where would you like to see him go? One team that comes to mind is the Minnesota Vikings. And it would be crazy to think about if Joe Burrow left his one LSU receiver and went to his other LSU receiver. And I'm just thinking about that from a perspective of, say, JJ McCarthy isn't what we think he is. But if you're saying this is Joe Burrow's last season in Cincinnati, give me a team that you'd like to see him play for. Of course, any team other than like 3 or 4 teams would want him, but where could you see him being?
Joe Burrow specifically, that's an interesting question because Joe Burrow is one of those players that you have to be willing to conform your idea of passing in the offense around him. He's so good at what he does. If you think that you're going to come in and we're going to dink and dunk, we're going to pitch it around 20 times a game and that's it, that you're going to be good, you're going to be highly mistaken because that's just not how Joe Burrows operates. In my opinion, Joe Burrows is the greatest mix that we've seen in a long time of a pure passer and a gunslinger because he does both of those things really well and he can stand in a pocket and he can take heat. With that being said, if there was a team that I think he could go to and that he could really thrive, I think it would have to be a team with a really rich history around having a solid quarterback. It would have to be a team who I think has an indoor stadium because I think if he's going to go somewhere cold weather, he's going to want to buckle in. He's a guy who, if you put him in that blue and white,
And see, that's exactly who I was thinking when you said indoor, when you said,
Put
because
him.
you're talking Dallas, right?
No,
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about the Colts.
The Colts. Okay.
He
I was thinking trying to get him out of the AFC because if I'm trading Joe Burrow, bro, I would hate to have to play him to get to the Super Bowl. But okay.
No, I'm talking about a team who has historically always had a good quarterback and they're not comfortable with the idea of not having one right now. And a quarterback of his cachet becomes available. I think the
Move
Colts, I think the Colts move heaven and earth to recreate a Peyton Manning-esque type of experience for their fans. I also think I also think that if they make that decision, I think there's going to be a lot of players that go with him because playing indoors half of the season, who doesn't want that?
That's true.
Who doesn't want that? You know, like there's a few indoor stadiums, Atlanta, Indianapolis, Dallas,
Vegas.
Minnesota, Vegas.
Mhm.
There's few, but you can take I think you can take the top off in Vegas, but it is indoors, correct? What's 5 or 6 teams? If I'm getting older, if I'm starting to walk into the twilight of my career and I'm trying to figure out what's next for me on this gridiron, I'm going somewhere where I'm in the house, dude. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's just how I'm gonna do it.
I can't
So
even imagine.
that's my assessment of the AFC. I'll tell you
Okay.
too. My camera is wilding, bro. Yeah, my camera is cooked. So
No, you're good. You still
we still rolling, but
still
but
rolling.
so of all of that, I think that we can talk about the playoff projection after week one. I think that'll be a really good opportunity for us to look into that. But I think you had a heck of amazing analysis on the NFC. I think we really did a great job of breaking that down. So I love what you gave me.
Appreciate that.
Oh, that's crazy. I love what you gave me. It's
Oh
crazy.
man.
Oh, that's crazy. No Diddy. Oh, that's wild turkey. That's wild. I love the analysis you provided on the NFC. That's crazy. All right. So what we'll do is we'll jump in. If you could, I'm interested, right? This is, I think, a major headline. I think this is something really important to talk about. So if you could just read out to us like the details, give us the full schematics of what is taking place, right? I don't think people are truly connecting the weight of this seismic shift in the football landscape the way we need to be, right? I think that this headline came and went in like 2 days, and I think Micah Parsons is too good for this headline not to still be talked about to this day. So if you could just take a minute, give us the rundown of the trade, the contents of the trade, who went where, what happened, how, all of the craziness, so our fans can know what's up.
Right. Yes. So again, this is why I need you guys to tap in with me on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram at the Dynastyers Podcast. I know you guys see it scrolling down there. If you don't, that's perfect right there. Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at the Dynastyers Podcast. Because I post shorts pretty much every day on TikTok, on YouTube, just talking about daily sports content, talking about daily everything content. And yes, this was something that we discussed on the channel. Micah Parsons was traded to the Green Bay Packers. The trade involved Micah Parsons going to Green Bay and signing a 4-year, $188 million contract. That's $47.5 million annually, 47.5 mil a season. That is the highest paid non-quarterback contracts ever signed in NFL history.
Crazy.
And they sent back Kenny Clark and 2 first-round picks in the next 2 seasons, this upcoming season and the season after. And when I look at this trade on the surface, this trade pretty much opened up the space to allow them to extend Deron Bland, which was something that they really wanted to do. The extension of Deron Bland raised my eyebrows just because Deron Bland is making, I believe, 4 years, 92 million. So he's 23 mil a season. That puts him at cornerback number 5 in terms of paid annual money. I feel like paying Deron Bland at cornerback 4, cornerback 5 is a little rich considering some of the names he's ahead of. He's ahead of the Pat Surtains. But
Right.
that was the reason for them doing this deal. They also did this deal because Jerry Jones said they wanted the draft capital. The reason that kind of makes me raise my eyebrows as well is because these Green Bay Packers draft picks will most likely be in the mid to late 20s.
Right.
Although they'll be able to use those picks to maybe get later talent, maybe trade up in the draft. I speculated last week before I saw Arch Manning play that this could be a long play to keep Arch Manning in Texas, but I don't think that's the case anymore. I truly think Dallas thinks they made the right decision, giving Micah Parsons 47 million while paying Dak 60 and CeeDee Lamb 35 just wasn't feasible for a team that was trying to compete. So, in my opinion, they chose the two wrong guys. I would have more so chose Dak and Micah and traded CD because you could have probably got the most for CD.
Sure.
Or if you're going to trade Micah Parsons, they could have always done this at the beginning of the offseason prior to the draft, where teams would have given them probably 3, 4, 5, 6 picks. You never know. But I think they still could have gotten the same deal at least then. But pretty much, yes, Micah Parsons is now a Green Bay Packer, and it's looking like he's going to play week 1. There was speculation he had a back injury, but I believe he's good to go. He's ramping up his practice. And yeah, that is why I believe Green Bay is one of my favorites to come out of the NFC for Micah Parsons and Micah Parsons alone. I'm curious how you feel about it, to be honest, because I know you're not the biggest Micah Parsons guy. I'm not the biggest Micah Parsons guy either. I won't go on the limb and say he's Lawrence Taylor, or how everyone thinks he's destined for the Hall of Fame as well. He might be one of those Hall of Fame guys when it's all said and done, but Lawrence Taylor is a little too far. So I'm curious how you feel about two firsts, Kenny Clark, a 30-year-old D tackle for a 24 or 25, year old edge rusher in the prime of his career.
I feel like this is just an example of ownership believing that they in fact own more than just the team. I think that at some point we're going to need to help revolutionize the idea that you can own the team and the brand, but not the people on it, and still respect them and treat them with some type of dignity and some type of respect, right? We're talking about a guy who openly said time and time again, I want to be a Dallas Cowboy. And you couldn't give him the number he was looking for. I think that is disrespectful, knowing that you, in fact, Jerry Jones, are trying to have a grip on this franchise in a way that is unrealistic. Jerry Jones is not winning Super Bowls. Jerry Jones is not winning playoff games. Jerry Jones is not winning NFC division championships, right? They're not making it to or they're not division winners, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. They're NFC South.
NFC East. They're in the division with the Eagles, Giants.
NFC East, right. So they're not NFC East champs year in and year out. And so my frustration truly lies in the thought that Jerry Jones believes he's bigger than the organization.
He believes he's bigger than the NFL, bro.
And for him to believe that is the exact reason why that organization will not win any games until he's no longer in ownership. And what's going to be a major push for the league is going to need to make sure that the team doesn't belong to his family. Because how many more bad decisions do we need to watch before we say, okay, America's team sucks? America's team sucks right now. Let's be real. Like, it doesn't, they're not good. They're not primed to be good. Dallas isn't like jumping off the page with who they've signed, who they've drafted, who they've traded for. Tell me if
I'll be real with you, bro. You would have to pry the Dallas Cowboys from Jerry Jones' cold, dead hands, bro. There's no way. And I mean, bro, from what they say, he just has beliefs that 95% of the other owners in the NFL have, but he just has the ability to say it because of his team being worth $12 billion, bro. And
I would love to
that's
see
why he can say what he wants, bro, because they're the most valuable team.
I would love to see what the value of this team is going to be at the end of this season. I think people are pissed.
The value of the team went up from last season and they won 7 games. They don't care about winning, bro. The Cowboys are going to forever keep going up. Them games are going to continue to be sold out. People are going to continue to sport Cowboy stuff, bro. I'm going to be honest with you, bro. They haven't been to a conference championship game since 1995, bro. The oldest team in the NFC. Every team in the NFC has made it to a conference championship game at least since 2010. Every one of the 16 teams in the NFC. Just think about that. Even the Commanders, even the Panthers, all of these teams, the Cardinals they've all made it to a conference championship game at least since 2010. And I believe the Cardinals are the oldest in 2010. They went to the Super Bowl in 2009 to go against Pittsburgh.
Right.
So it's like the only team that has had no success is the Dallas Cowboys. But yet and still, they are far and away the highest grossing and highest value team, bro. It's not about winning. It's about marketing. It's about what you do. It's about how you position your team, sponsorships, and stuff of that nature, bro. And Jerry Jones is a master at.
Yeah, but I think at some point the fans stop buying into that. It's almost like pro wrestling, bro. Like, we're super fans of pro wrestling too here on the podcast. And I love watching wrestling because I get to see actors at work in a way that much of sports doesn't give us a window into. I don't want to see John Cena laying on the ground telling Jake Paul what the next moves are. We don't want to see behind the curtain. I don't care how Jerry Jones does what he does. The expectation is that Jerry does it well enough that he makes this team win. Jerry is doing all of the things, telling us all of these behind the curtain things, showing us he doesn't genuinely care about the players by calling his best player Michael Parsons on public interviews. You're showing us behind the curtain that you don't genuinely care about the player, you care about the money. And if that is going to be the case, you cannot be charging Cowboy fans a whole bunch of money for a whole lot of nothing. I don't care if it's about winning when you're making the case that the money is more important. Don't tell me you care about winning. I don't care that we're talking about winning and you have clearly shown me you're not prioritizing it. I want to care about winning because you care about winning as the owner of the franchise.
Right.
He has done nothing to show Cowboys fans that he cares about the franchise. He's shown us that he's cared about the team, that he cares about the oil, that he's pumping the money that he's making off that. I don't genuinely believe he'll own the Cowboys much longer. I think the Cowboys are needed for football. You need the Cowboys for football. You need the Cowboy fans for the National Football League. If they start migrating away and the value of the Cowboys starts to fall, and it starts to fall significantly, I think we're going to see a huge, bro, push to remove him. So that's just my take.
Man, I wonder if that were the case, bro, would the push to remove him be as grand or as vast as the push that Alabama fans are using to try to get Kalen DeBoer out of there right now, bro? Because man, I don't know which situation's worse right now. Cowboy fans dealing with Jerry or
Dog,
Alabama fans dealing with Kalen DeBoer post Nick Saban. I mean, I don't know which one's worse.
dog, I'm gonna tell you because that's so funny that like that walks right into our perfect transition. I'm gonna be honest with you, dog. I got up early in the morning to watch College Game Day because that was Lee Kosho's last College Game Day, and he made
Yeah.
his final decision. And so I just watched the whole day. I thought it was so ceremonious, like all of the tributes they made for Lee Corso and how they just treated him so well. It really meant a lot. It really meant a lot to be able to see it as someone who's like grown up a fan of College Game Day, Lee Corso, and that voice, just that entertainment element he brought to it. They had asked Nick Saban. They said Nick Saban said emphatically, "There's no way Alabama loses to Florida State." They asked them. They said, "We recognize that you got a chance to go in the locker room and talk with the guys. You did a lot of hooting and hollering, all that. You jazzed them up. You got them energized." They said, "Did it feel good? Did it make you want to go back?" He said something along the lines of, and I need to find the clip. He said, "We'll see." Essentially, I can see a world. I can see a world where Nick Saban is Alabama's head football coach next season. I can see a world where Nick Saban is walking back into Tuscaloosa with that crimson and white on him, talking about Roll Tide. They ain't going to stand for this losing they doing down in Alabama. They ain't going to stand for that. They not standing for that.
Yeah, bro, and I mean it was tough, bro. I want to say Florida State was at least 10-point dogs against Bama, bro. And I mean Thomas Castanellos or Castellos. I hope I'm pronouncing. I know I'm mispronouncing his last name, but he'd been at Florida State years prior, and he never looked like he looked against that Alabama defense. And so it
So
was really interesting to
correct me if I'm wrong.
see that letdown. And I'll be honest, it was so many letdowns this past weekend, bro. Whether it's Bama, whether it was Clemson getting beat,
Come on,
whether
man.
it was whether it was Texas showing that they're not who we thought they were. Arch is not who we thought he was. Or shoot, the biggest freaking letdown might have been Monday night. Bill Belichick had one good drive in 60 minutes of football. Like the first drive was well scripted, and everything after that was just a dominant performance by TCU, domination of the Carolina football team. And if we're talking about biggest letdown, bro, I, as much of a letdown Bill Belichick was, I have to go Arch Manning, bro, because that directly impacts NFL teams, bro. NFL teams, like I said earlier in the episode, like my Jets, like the Saints, like you mentioned, the Dolphins, who might be looking at a quarterback, a team who, although I disagree with, could be potentially, depending on how Drake May plays, looking for a quarterback in New England.
Sure.
Teams like the Colts, teams like all of these quarterback needy teams were, I guarantee, last week in their minds thinking, man, tank for Arch is a really, really good thing. And after seeing Arch Manning against the Ohio State defense, who has about 7 pros versus 11 pros, he didn't look good. He wasn't accurate.
I'm not gonna lie to you. That Ohio State defense is probably going to be one of the better defenses in football. They've got the best college player in football in Downs. Downs is the best player in college football. Like
Definitely.
in my opinion, unfortunately, he's not going to go first overall because nobody's taking a safety first overall. But
He's going to be a top 10 pick easily.
He's a top. They think he's a top 3 guy, top 5 guy. I think a pass rusher emerges this season. I think an offensive lineman emerges. I think one of the quarterbacks really rises to the top, specifically Lenore Sellers. And then I think Downs is in the top 5. I don't think you can have a conversation around top for like best players in college football this year without putting Downs' name in there in the top 5. But what I will say is we're talking a lot about disappointments, right? Like my thoughts are there's a lot of disappointing losses that have taken place. You know, I'm a Clemson guy. I love Dabo Swinney. I need Dabo to do better in the portal. I just need him to do better. He's got to commit to the portal. That's the way of football. I think Bill Belichick, I think this was a flash in the pan. I think that Belichick bounces back. I don't think they bounce back in their 10 wins, but I think they bounce back and they make a bowl game because I think it's Bill Belichick. You know, Bill Belichick tries to build teams like this is the league when in actuality this is college. You can't hope that a guy has potential when he's 25 when he'll only be with you till he's 23, 22. You've got to get guys who can play ball, and you've got to learn how to recruit. He's got to be more of a personality. He's too mundane. He's too boring. He's too even-kiltered. These players are going to play for personalities. Sarkisian is a personality. Day is a personality. Dabo is a personality. I'm going to go play for these guys because I enjoy the excitement and the cachet, and they back there taking the pictures with me in the 360 photo booth. Belichick's got to do that. He's got to want to do that. He's got to want to do that. And so we're talking about a lot of losses that are disappointments. But, dude, I have to talk about a win that is a freaking disaster. I have to talk about a win that is a freaking disaster. I knew without a shadow of a doubt, deep in my core, bro, deep in my freaking core, I knew that Kansas State was going to be a team this year. So much so, I think my dark horse, I think one of the better quarterbacks to emerge, the name that we're going to be saying a lot come February during the draft combine is Avery Johnson. I don't know if people are watching Avery Johnson play, but he is a phenomenal player who can run the ball first and pass it really well. A win that truly concerns me about the Kansas State football team is that Kansas State played North Dakota. They played North Dakota on Saturday and won by 3 points. They went into halftime, Darius, down by 4. They went into the 4th, finally seizing some type of possession and barely squeaked out because North Dakota scored 14 in the 4th. Let's not ignore the fact that Kansas State lost the week prior to Iowa State.
They looked bad too, bro. They looked really. Granted, I know it was raining, and I know it was week 0 and this and that, but come on, bro. Like, they looked bad. And I know you're a big fan of Avery Johnson, bro, but me personally, I kind of go the opposite way on him, bro. Maybe it's because of the talent that K-State has, but I was high on him last year when he had talent, and he just something wasn't clicking. Same thing with Arch Manning. I don't know if it's accuracy. I don't know if it's timing. It's just stuff didn't click for him last year, bro. And I was out on Avery Johnson after last year.
He was young last year, and I think what we don't give him credit for is the fact that being young with a loaded roster and then being a year older with a less loaded roster, that there is going to be some transition. But if we want to be clear about his performance, if we want to be clear about how good he really is, we can look at his individual success and make it clear that he's done nearly 600 passing yards, 5 touchdowns already this season. Right? Maybe that's not a whole lot, but we're not asking a lot from him right now. The expectation, I think, would be a little bit too high to say, oh, this guy needs to be a pure stud. I just think that he will emerge going into the end of this year as somebody not named in the Heisman, not named as the O'Brien Award winner or anything like that, but is named as somebody, hey, you might want to consider leaving because you could be a really good fit in Miami. You could be a really good fit in New England. You could be a really good fit because the Rams are looking for a quarterback. You could be a really good fit in Indianapolis because the Colts may be looking for a transition. This could be a guy who fits in on somebody's roster who's looking for a mobile quarterback, who's looking for a guy who can get it done. We need to acknowledge that his QBR right now is a 66, right? 5 touchdowns, 591 passing yards on 0 interceptions in his first 2 games this season. We need to acknowledge
that completion percentage, though.
His completion percentage right now, give me 1 second. His current completion percentage is a 67% completion percentage.
Okay. So I'll tell you from watching, because I didn't watch them against North Dakota, but I did watch them against Iowa State. A lot of check downs, a lot of bubble screens, a lot of running back flats, because I believe their running back is one of their better offensive weapons. And I think his number 1 receiver, if I'm remembering from the game correctly, is a transfer. So he didn't really do much against Iowa State, but their running back is solid. So, okay, 67% is not bad. But you talking about a quarterback that you're watching going forward that you like, I want to give a guy that I like. And you mentioned Lenore Sellers, so I won't talk about Lenore Sellers, but it's a guy that a lot of people were out on last year that I think can do a lot of good in college football this year and can make a name for himself possibly at the combine. And if he gets in the right situation, a team like the Rams will be perfect. He just has talent around him, doesn't have to do a lot. Throw it to the guy that's open, run the play. A guy that I believe in is Carson Beck, bro, with Miami. Miami
I knew you were going to say Carson
amazing, bro.
He is such a bad player to me.
In my opinion, I don't think that he's a bad player. What I think it is that what J. Cole say, man, the hype done got you too. That's what it was, bro. The hype got to him. We saw him when he had Lab McConkey. We saw him when he had Brock Bowers. We saw him when he had this cast of running backs, and he looked like a stud.
Right.
He was competing for a national championship. We saw him the next season when Bowers is in the NFL, when Lab McConkey's in the NFL. He didn't look as good because he had to shoulder a lot more of the load. Now, maybe he's not the type of quarterback that can shoulder a lot of the load. Maybe he's the type of quarterback that, hey, do my job, throw it to the guy that's open. And there's value in that. There's value in throwing it to the open guy when he's there. And I kind of compared him to a guy like Brock Purdy. If he could come into the NFL 4th, 5th, 6th round pick, have a Brock Purdy type impact on a team, I could definitely see that for Carson Beck. And on top of that, he's a bigger athlete than Brock Purdy. He's 6'4", 6'5", good accuracy, strapping arm. Like, I think Carson Beck, who, again, a guy that might not be on people's Heisman ballots, depending on how Miami goes or how well Miami goes this year, I don't know. But I think he has a chance to do something in the next level, man.
It's something about Carson Beck that I'm not buying into. I feel like anytime I watch a kid flip-flop from school to school to school, and like duck and run after good situations. After I don't buy into it. I think if we're talking about a quarterback who really impressed me, though, I
Joe
want
Burrow
to,
transferred.
huh?
Joe Burrow transferred.
Yeah, but Joe Burrow also didn't play and win a national championship before he did,
But
right?
but Joe Burrow also didn't lose all of his guys to the league and had to carry the team by himself. Like when Joe Burrow was carrying, quote unquote, he was like a 15 touchdown quarterback, 9 picks. Like he was the
Ah,
definition of a game manager before he got to LSU with Jettis and Jamar Chase and all of those guys.
yeah, but I genuinely don't believe that LSU thought that Jamar Chase and Jettis were going to be who they are. I think it took a Joe Burrows to elevate those guys to the level that they were at, because you think about even guys like Clyde Edwards-Helaire got elevated, and you're like, Clyde ain't that guy. He's not at all.
Thaddeus
So,
Moss too.
man,
He got
yeah,
drafted.
yeah. Like you talking about these lotto studs that was like balling.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, in college, and couple of them stayed, couple of them had staying power in the league to where they're like big names and guys, but a couple of them didn't. And so I think it definitely took Burrows to elevate them. Had Burrows not been a quarterback, I don't think they win a national championship.
That makes sense. I could hear that. It
Yeah,
took Joe Burrow. It
because
took Joe Burrow bringing them together.
Burrows he was light years ahead. But what I will say, quarterback I was impressed with, I think impressed is like, right? I like Cade Klubnik, but Garrett Nessmeyer kind of
Oh
gave
yeah, LSU.
he kind of gave me this idea that he could be a pro quarterback. He gave me the idea that he could be a guy in the National Football League. I'll be interested to see how LSU does the rest of the year, because I think against Clemson, they didn't do they didn't do the things offensively they could have done to really put the nail in the coffin on Clemson. I'm a Clemson guy, so I hate to see that my boys got beat the way they did. Especially, it was a hard weekend all around. It was a hard weekend all around watching college football, because I was rooting for Belichick, I was rooting for Dabo. I was rooting for Arch Manning. I lost all around. I lost all around this past weekend, but I think that I think that there's a chance that Nessmeyer could be a really bright spot. I just hope that the politics of football doesn't get in the way, because there is no quarterback who I saw this weekend play that is better than Lenore Sellers.
I agree with you, and
Yeah.
I just want to. This is the only thing I want to say about Nussmeyer. Then I'll let you continue, and we can get to the next thing. I would absolutely hate to be the NFL team that gets the first overall pick and needs a quarterback,
Mm,
and Garrett Nussmeyer is the number one quarterback, or Cade Klubnik is
yeah,
the number one quarterback, and
absolutely.
that's who's staring me in my freaking face with the first overall pick. So I need my Jets to be good, because Arch Manning being bad, I'd much rather keep Justin Fields another season, because oh my gosh,
Well,
I
see, because
just
here's the
good.
thing: the league, the league is not like you and I. We do a lot of dynasty stuff. So, folks, if you're ever interested in joining our dynasty game, like our dynasties for Madden, college football, anything like that, let us know.
Hit
We
me
do
up.
we do a lot of dynasty stuff, and we have a philosophy. You and I say all the time: it doesn't matter where you pick in the draft. You either get best available, or you get the guy that fits what you're needing. Right? He doesn't always necessarily have to be the best quarterback on the board. Right? So even if there's a world where it emerges that Sellers is one of three guys and it could be interchangeable, if you have the first overall pick, do you want a 6'3" quarterback who's 240 pounds and has proven that he can be a dual threat option? Or do you want a 6'1", 205 quarterback who has proven to you that he can stand in a pocket like a statue and pass it around if he's got a really good offensive line?
And you're comparing that to between Nussmeyer and Sellers.
Yes. Or we can even throw Klubnik in there, right? A 6'2", 210 quarterback who
that's a run first guy because
run
Caleb
first guy.
man.
So you have to ask yourself, who do you really want to be your quarterback? If given that situation, I'm telling these NFL organizations, don't be stupid enough to pick a kid who isn't Lenore Sellers. Lenore Sellers is going to be the best quarterback in this class. He's shown it in his first game. South Carolina is going to be a legitimate threat to compete in the SEC. Of course, they're probably not going to win it because they're going to run up against, heck, it ain't Texas we're worried about. It ain't
probably Georgia.
Yeah, it's probably maybe Georgia.
Because it's not Bama.
It ain't Bama. It ain't Auburn. It ain't gonna be LSU. So Sellers legitimately has a chance to take the SEC by storm. He could potentially be putting on a Cam Newton-esque type of year. So we have an opportunity to see something big get ready to happen. I just hope people aren't stupid enough to overlook. I don't want nonsense to come out about Sellers as he gets bigger and people start knowing his name. And I just don't want the politics surrounding this guy. I want this guy to have a safe, healthy year. Lenore Sellers, if you're hearing us talk to you from the Dynastyers Podcast, we're sending prayers and blessings for you all season, bro. Stay safe. Stay out of the way. Don't get mixed up in nothing, bro. Go win the Heisman, dude. Go win the Heisman.
Stay healthy.
Stay healthy and go win the Heisman, dude. All right. So we're jumping into the final couple pieces of our show. As always, we got to make sure we do our words of wisdom. So I got to make sure we have that up there. But just give us some updates on some other things happening around the league, bro, or happening around the world of sports.
Okay, cool. So one of the topics I wanted to mention around the world of sports yesterday, bro, got a shout out to our African-American queens, our queens of color, man, Naomi Osaka and Coco Gauff. First time matching up in a while, bro. I think they said since like 2019, 2020, they faced each other in the U.S. Open match, and Naomi Osaka got the best of her in straight sets, 6-2, 6-3. I just thought that was interesting to talk about, bro, because Naomi Osaka was ranked 23 in the tournament. Coco Gauff was ranked 3rd. So this is the biggest victory Naomi Osaka has had since COVID time, bro.
She hadn't played in a while. She hasn't
played in a while because she had been going through a lot of mental stuff. She had her child, so it's good to see her get back out there, man. I hate that it was at the expense of Coco Gauff, but it was just good to see the two African American queens going at it, two tennis legends, tennis stars going at it, bro. That was awesome to see.
Yeah, that's huge. Some other sports news around the world. I think it's really dope. I want to celebrate and share it. That the WWE's premier live events are now heading to ESPN platforms in the United States starting in 2026. This merger and this partnership is something that I think the WWE had been working on for a long bit of time as a way to be able to bring the WWE to the most people possible. I thought it was really cool. I was on the phone with one of my best friends, and he was watching ESPN in the background, and ESPN literally gave updates and highlights from Clash in Paris over the weekend. I thought it was phenomenal that they were talking about Roman Reigns and how he got beaten up and was taken to the hospital, and how Seth freaking Rollins retained the World Heavyweight Championship, and his wife, Becky Lynch, the Intercontinental Champion, the Women's Intercontinental Champion, came out to support him in his victory in a fatal four-way match against CM Punk, LA Knight, and the Yeet Man, Jey Uso, Mr. Main Event himself. And so we're talking about just some of the most amazing elements and the amazing entities that exist in the world of sports coming together and go and finding themselves in such a large, phenomenal platform that people who love it, people who view it, new people who watched it when they were kids and got away from it and now get a chance to come back. We all get a chance to say that we can enjoy it, and we can enjoy it on the ESPN platform. That's a phenomenal win for ESPN. I really hate that they're leaving Peacock, because Peacock allowed us to be able to watch the PLEs without needing to pay for them. The
Yeah.
only caveat is that now you'll need to be able to pay $30 per month for a price point to be able to watch the PLEs. And they just shut down the free streaming site earlier today where you can watch all of the free sports things in the world. So it is bittersweet for sure because I thought the relationship with Peacock was amazing, especially if you were a WWE fan during COVID. You were really able to find solace in cutting on that Peacock app and seeing the well of all of the WWE stuff that exists, but all of the content that is out there. But hey, to 2026 and the money that's coming for the WWE. All right. What else you got?
Money. I also have two things. Two things I actually just found just to scrolling. So, well, one thing I looked at earlier today was the Clippers. The Clippers are being investigated right now
I
for
saw
potentially,
that.
yeah, bro, for
Bro, I
potentially
saw that, bro.
ducking the salary cap, paying Kawhi $28 million for a no show as part of a bankrupt business. This was a way to maybe pay him under the table, and somebody sung the whistle, blew that joker. So they're being investigated now, man. And it doesn't look good from what I from what I saw, from what I heard. It didn't look good, and so that kind of if
You think they're gonna cook Kawhi from the league, bro?
I don't know if they'll cook Kawhi. I think from what they said, the punishment would be like the next 4 to 5 years draft picks for the Clippers, bro. So, and probably a significant fine.
Jeez,
And
bro.
the other thing I just saw was that Angel Reese, man, the
Oh,
Bayou Barbie might be on the move, bro. She had some crazy comments about her Chicago Sky teammates. She said that she refuses to be in the same situation next year. She refuses to be losing this year, and the team needs to get better players. And it came out that she might have burned bridges in that locker room, bro. So the relationships might be unrepairable. They're reporting. So it's just, man, I guess that's someone that didn't
dang.
know her role, didn't know how valuable she was to the organization, and might have cooked her in the long run, bro.
Really, bro? That is
Yeah,
crazy,
bro.
bro.
So
I
don't be surprised if you see something about Angel Reese being traded within the next couple weeks.
They haven't even gotten into the postseason yet, have they?
I'm I don't believe so, bro. They've been pretty much under 500 when I've been following the Chicago Sky, and Angel Reese hasn't been the most efficient player
Yeah,
percentage wise.
yeah.
She's added a little bit to her game, but she hasn't been what they needed, and she hasn't been a player to be saying, "Hey, we need to get better players." Like,
Ooh,
well, I'm sure some of your teammates think the same thing, but they're talking about you. You see what I mean? So
right.
it's just a thing of got to know your place, know your personnel, and know like your standing in the organization. I'd say to be saying stuff like that.
Yeah, that's nasty business. I ain't gonna lie to you. That's nasty business, man. Yeah. Angel Reese, I love Angel Reese as a player. I mean, she's god gorgeous. There's no question about it. But and that's just talking about her as like a savant of a beautiful black queen who's playing in the world of sports. I hate the way they speak on her. I think there's too many people that speak negatively about her without giving her flowers of what she did at LSU, what she's done in Chicago. As an athlete and as a player, as an enthusiast of the game, someone who I truly enjoy women's basketball as well, I think Angel Reese has a long way to go with her game. I appreciate that Lisa Leslie stepped in and tried to help contribute to her game in the offseason. She needs to sit under Lisa some more. I think she needs to improve her ball handling skills a little bit more. I mean, I think she could she could be, if she really wants to be, she could be like, and I know they're probably going to try to attack me for this, but she could be WNBA's version of LeBron, or like of like a stretch player. Like if she really gets under her belt the ability to dribble and facilitate, she has the other elements. I don't think she's a quality shooter just yet. I think she does great grabbing rebounds. I think she does great under the rim. I think she's a really good 10 to 15 foot shooter. If she can facilitate the basketball and she can help really flow the game, I think she could be one of those players that goes anywhere in the WNBA, and we have to take note. We have to follow. We have to see her play. So
I would say a better person for her to shoot for NBA comparison wise would be DeMontis Sabonis.
I can see
Lefty,
that. But
lefty big, good rebounder, finishes around the paint. He's a good facilitator. So that kind of harps on what you said. Have her work on her facilitating, have her work on her free throw shooting, because she's improved from when she initially got in the league last season. But it's another step she has to get to if she's going to be calling people out on their game. That's just the only thing.
Yeah, that's just the facts of the matter. That's all to it. That's all to it. You're absolutely right. She's just got to improve her game if she's going to make that claim that her teammates need to be better. She needs to be looking in the mirror first, doing the self-examination to say, I'm the best player on this team, and this is how I contribute.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If Asa Wilson comes out and says, I need help, Paige Beckers comes out and says, I need help.
Yeah.
Any of those stars come out and say that they need help, then I get it. Nafisa, come on, Nafisa, I need help. Okay, we got you. You're the WNBA MVP right now. I got you. Brianna Stewart. I mean, I don't see why she would need help because she has help on that team. But just an example, if somebody like that comes out and says, yo, I need extra pieces, you go and get them extra pieces. But yeah, Angel, worry about what you can control before you do stuff like that, because you might have already alienated your teammates.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you're spot on. Jumping into the bet of the week, bro. I'm interested, man. Tell me what you got on your bet. What's your ticket?
Bet of the week. So I'm taking a new philosophy this year, Dynastyers family. My first couple years of sports betting, I was chasing the parlays, chasing the 6-leggers, the 5-leggers, the 8-leggers, the 12-leggers, trying to turn $1 into $1 million. And that's not the way to do it. We were not good. So this is what I'm going to do this year. I'm going with 4 legs or less going forward. And the one I have in FanDuel, it's a 4-leg parlay that I like, bro. I like it a lot. 4 money lines. I went Carolina Panthers money line against Jacksonville, the Dolphins money line against the Colts, Detroit's money line against Green Bay, but that was prior to the Micah Parsons trade, in the Houston Texans money line against the Rams, because I again didn't know about Matthew Stafford's health and in terms of him playing. So in terms of FanDuel, those were plays that I did like, but I was able to lock in something else on my Prize Picks account, some plays that I really liked for the year and also for this week. And one of the plays that I really, really liked, I'm scrolling to it right now, I was able to get a Jaden Daniels passing at 226.5 passing yards. I think this is pretty much a lock against the New York Giants. New York Giants have a good front seven, so I could see the Commanders struggling to run the football. They're going to have to throw. 227 passing yards for Jaden Daniels is a gimme.
I like the way you're thinking. Darius and I shared similar sentiments that our sports betting last year was not the most lucrative. I know I did really well in the postseason. I think I hit a couple of $2 or $3 multi-leg parlays for some hundreds of dollars, which I did really well. I was proud to say that, thanks to my Kansas City Chiefs last year. And so Darius's philosophy is a philosophy that I will listen to and I will not follow. I stand by the 15 legs. I stand by the 12 legs. I stand by the 10 legs. And so I come to you bringing a 6-leg parlay that I'm proud to share. This is, in fact, on FanDuel, which is not a sponsor, but FanDuel, if you want to sponsor us, we're always here and ready to help. Call us. So on my ticket, I'm taking the Las Vegas Raiders against the New England Patriots at plus 120. I'm taking the Carolina Panthers, the Las Vegas Raiders money line against the New England Patriots at plus 120. The Carolina Panthers money line at plus 160 versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm taking the Seattle Seahawks money line at plus 112 versus the San Francisco 49ers. I'm taking the Minnesota Vikings money line versus the Chicago Bears at minus 112. I'm taking the Detroit Lions at 114 and their money line versus the Green Bay Packers. And I'm taking the Miami Dolphins versus the Indianapolis Colts at minus 102. If you put $5 on this will turn out to make you $481.39. I just so happen to have $5 in pre-promo cash, and so I'm hitting select on that. That is my play of the week, my bet of the week. Just for anybody who's curious, that gets you that 6-leg, gets you a plus 9,627. And so if you put $10 on this bet, just for folks that are interested, I want to make sure I get you the right info. You put $10 on this bet. This bet will cash out to be, oh my God, I put $510, and that looked amazing. I don't know why my thing is acting up. Sorry. FanDuel is glitchy sometimes. That's why I don't see how I win any money on it. If you put $10 on it, you could potentially be walking away with $962.78. So my friends, my families, my partners, and my players, if you're going to go with these tips, here is our disclaimer. We are not held liable for any bad decisions you make, any money you spend, any homes you destroy. But what I will say is, if you take our advice, you're probably going to do really well. All right. So best of luck to you. That's our bets for the week from Kung Fu Cape, from your boy Big Hennessy. And so now we are walking into the finale of our first welcome show back. And so I'll kick it over to you, my brother.
Yes. We've made it to the end of another great episode of the Dynastyers Podcast, man. If you've stuck with us this long, you're the real MVP. You are the champion, bro. You got the ring, and we're grateful for you being with us. Words of wisdom, though, man. For me, I'm going to just utter one word to you all: patience. Patience is truly a virtue, man. It doesn't matter whether it's working on your game. It doesn't matter whether it's saving money. It doesn't matter whether it's recording episodes. It's all about being patient. It's all about keep laying bricks down. And I've heard a lot of streamers, a lot of YouTubers reference this, man. It's all about laying bricks down and just adding one more brick to that wall, adding one more dash to that tally mark, man. And then soon enough days when you keep adding enough bricks, enough tally marks, then eventually you'll build a wall. Eventually you'll get to 100 tally marks, and then you'll get to 1,000, and then you'll get to 10,000. And of course, I look at that as stuff with the podcast, man. We just got to keep laying bricks down, and this is the first brick for the 2025-2026 NFL season. Yeah. Many more to come. And yeah, I just looking forward to you guys being on this ride with us, man. We're looking forward to bringing y'all some banger content. So let's get it.
Straight up, bro. I love the words, man. One of the things I definitely want to say in the form of words of wisdom, y'all, I always try to drop gems. We always try to just leave y'all with something that's profound, something that really sticks and just glues to your spirit to help you make it through another week. And so today I'll say you need to prioritize your health. I don't think we do a great enough job as humans understanding exactly what health means and what it all entails. We're talking about your spiritual health. We're talking about your physical health. We're talking about your mental health. We're talking about your emotional health. Those are the 4 elements that genuinely build and generally build the body of a person. And so I'm asking that as you think and as you look internally, as you do your self-work this week in self-reflection, whether it's prayer, whether it's reading scripture, whether it's meditation, whether it's yoga, whether it's just a moment to yourself in silence, please be mindful of your health, and not just your health in one area, but your health in totality. If you are not physically healthy, your mental, your spiritual, your emotional health will always be out of whack. And so I'm begging you and I'm pleading with you as someone who is working to get in balance on all 4 elements of his own life. As I speak to you, I speak to myself. Get your health together. You need your health now more than ever, with the political climate, with the financial climate, with the climate in general of the world. Make sure you have your health in order. So it doesn't matter who you believe in. It doesn't matter whose you are. It does not matter what you do to ground yourself mentally. It does not matter who you have conversations with when you're emotionally unwell. It doesn't matter whether it's Planet Fitness or Gold's Gym, or if it's a walk around the neighborhood. Please, today, every day, prioritize your health. We want you here. We need you here so you can keep listening to our content and keep taking opportunities to celebrate in the things that we love, that we call sports. We want you to live. All right. I love you. This is so much love that I want to share and pass along to you. I hope that this resonates with somebody. I'm speaking to myself as I'm talking to you. So know you're not in it alone. You're not by yourself as you work through the day-to-day challenges, as you navigate your job and your family and your finances and just getting up and being enough every day. You're not alone. But know that in order for you to continue to be the best version of yourself, we've got to work on our health. All right. I love y'all. I'm kicking it back over to my dog, my best friend, my little brother, the captain of the ship. Close us out, bro. You're muted.
I apologize about that, man. I muted. I wanted to let you get your words off, bro. I appreciate you always ending it with the words of wisdom, bro. You always give us huge nuggets, amazing nuggets that we always need. And, you know, we're just grateful again to be back with another episode of the Dynastyers Podcast for you all. Thank you guys. Again, if you made it to this point in the video, 2 hours, 2.5 hours in with us, man, you're the real MVP, you're the champion. And to, you know, keep repeating this champion, because it's, again, laying bricks down. You know, you can win a championship one day and lose it the next day. Make sure you sub to us on YouTube. Follow us on TikTok. Follow us on Instagram so that way you don't miss any of our content, bro. We post pretty much daily content. You don't want to miss sports content, music, just about life, just funny content, whatever you guys are interested in. Tap in with us, because we'll most likely post something that'll catch your eye one of these days. So please tap in at the Dynastyers Podcast. And until next time, it's your boy Kung Fu Cape, aka Darius Capers, big bro. Till next time, peace.
Peace.
What's good, party people? It's your boy Kung Fu Cape, a quarter of the Dynastyers Podcast. If you made it to this part of the video, you're the real MVP. You're the champion. But to make sure you keep repeating this champion, you gotta give us a sub. Give us a sub on the YouTube channel at the Dynastyers Podcast. Give us a follow on Instagram at the Dynastyers Podcast. We post a lot of important information. A lot of key dates are coming up soon. Dates that you don't want to miss. So go ahead and sub and follow so you can stay abreast of what we got going on. You don't want to miss it.